The question was about, much more about statistics. By the time we were going home, if we went home, that is, as of 3 o'clock in the morning, we had received a total of 22,000 forms, that is Form 34As. Those that were transmitted together with the text data. As of this morning, around 9 o'clock, we had 28,000 forms received, and we expect to receive much more because the target is to get all the forms received by us at the National Tallying Center. In terms of deadline for receiving all these forms, Chairman just mentioned about the different categories of forms, Form 34As and Form 34Bs. Form 34Bs are compiled by the constituency returning officers. So for us to be able to receive, including the physical forms, Form 34As, the presiding officer shall deliver to the constituency returning officer the Form 34A, and the constituency returning officer shall put all that information together and send it over to us, and that will be the basis upon which we'll finalize the process of results management. In terms of turnout, I can see based on that, if you consider that interim report is now at 75% there. The assumption that we make, based on the process that we had set up, where before the results are sent, and which is the results in the text format and the results in the scanned form, before they are sent, the presiding officer, together with the agents at the polling station, must be able to compare the two to ensure that there is consistency between the results that have been typed in the kit and the results that are on the form that is going to be scanned. So by and large, we expect that that consistency is maintained. But for purposes of declaration of the final results, and the Commission has said this before, and will continue saying that, we'll wait to have all the forms together, submitted to us by the constituency returning officers, so that we are able to do the calculations and announce the results. But in addition to that, I wanted to say that the political parties, the party agents at the presidential level, the desk set out down here is for you to be able to access the Form 34S. So you may need to bring us, your technical people, to come and work here with our people. For the public, what has happened is that there is the forms that have been received from the field, they come in image format. And for those who know, that data is heavy. So we separated the platforms. What you are seeing on the screen is the result as received together with the forms, where the forms have been received, but tabulated and analyzed on the basis of the text data. So for easier display, we had to separate those two platforms. So we have a separate platform where we are now pushing in the Form 34s for easy access by the public. And given the amount or the number of forms that we have to load, up to 40,000 forms. So that process has taken slightly longer, but by 1 o'clock, I've just been told, we are going to have that URL, forms.iebc.or.ke, available to the public as well. So this information will be available to the public once that transfer is actually complete. Thank you very much.
I'm Eugene Andabwa of Third Way Alliance. A question was asked about how come you're displaying results which are not final. And my task to you, and just trying to tell in the commission, what is the point of sharing details which are not final by a whole commission? Why can't you agree on what is final before you share? Because you can imagine the kind of anxiety that it raises, you know? You can imagine at the point that maybe a candidate had prepared based on what you're providing now, that they are actually getting to the lead. Just for you guys to overturn that on, say, the 7th day, as you put it. Why don't you tell us that we'll be ready to give the official results on the 6th day, so that we're not bombarded with these things that are not final anyway?
You said you're who, sir?
Eugene Andabwa from Third Way Alliance.
Oh, that's a political party.
Yes.
My name is Irene Mwangi from KUTV. I was asking for purpose of clarity. The Form 34A from the different polling stations, are they being signed by the agents of all the political divides, or are we seeing a situation whereby it's only one political divide which is signing the Form 34A? And then my second question is that there was an issue that was reported in Kilgore's constituency in one of the polling stations, whereby we had the number of votes outnumbering the number of registered voters. And it was an issue which was reported by the returning officer of that particular constituency. I would like to know how you have addressed the issue and how they can avoid such situations.
That's Kilgore's?
Yeah, Kilgore's constituency in one of the polling stations.
Naam, jina langu naitwa Ken Wariahe kutoka K24, na swali langu na Wakenya watanisamehe kwa kulitaja jina la marehemu aliyekuwa naibu mkurugenzi wa idara ya teknolojia ya mawasiliano Chris Msando. Na swali ambalo ningetaka kuuliza, muungano wa NASA umeweza kutoa madai na kusema kwamba kuna uwezekano kwamba nywila au kipenda kimombo password ambazo walikuwa nazifahamu huenda zimetumika katika kuingilia mtandao wa kupeperusha matangazo kwa kutumia njia ya elektroniki, na kwamba kuna uwezekano kwamba kuna kura ambazo zimekuwa zikiondolewa kutoka zile ambazo zinafaa kuongezwa kwa muungano wa NASA na kura nyingine kuongezwa kwa muungano au chama cha Jubilee. Sasa mnataka mtueleze, kuna uwezekano kwamba kuna nywila au passwords zozote ambazo mtu angeweza kupata kutoka kwa marehemu na kuweza kuzitumia kuingilia mtandao wenu?
Bwana Chiloba.
Okay, I think we also need to just shorten the question, and you should be the last person.
Jina langu naitwa Lofty Matambo wa runinga KTN News. Asante kwa fursa. Nauliza hivi, Wakenya wamekuwa na shauku sana tangu jana mlipoondoka kutoa taarifa yenu ya mwisho, na sie kama wanahabari tulikuwa tunatarajia kwamba mtakuwa mnatupatia habari kila baada ya dakika kadhaa, labda 30 hivi. Sasa labda utupashe haswa ni baada ya kipindi cha muda gani mtakuwa mnatupatia habari, alafu pia waelezee Wakenya ni kwa nini mmechukua kimya kirefu tangu jana mpaka sasa ndio kutupatia habari hizi.
Okay. Okay. With regards to the question by, let me start with the last one. Why we haven't been consistent since last evening giving the briefings. Yesterday, you were aware that during the projections of results, at some point we had a lengthy moment than usual. And we thought that different stakeholders needed to understand what was happening. So we retreated to have a meeting, and it was quite a lengthy meeting, to build consensus on some of the issues that were emerging in as far as results transmission was concerned. And that's why we issued our briefing much later. This morning, of course, we came back here. We had a lot more work to do to ensure that what we had promised to undertake is realized. And it's because of those consultations that it took slightly longer. In terms of further briefings, I think we'll go back to our usual briefings so that the country is kept updated. In as far as the security of the system and access to password is concerned, I want to assure you this. The manner in which the process of coming up with the system was set up was such that we had to ensure that the data that we get from that particular system meets the highest level of integrity. And that means the governance of access became very critical. So, in terms of access within the Commission, this system was actually developed by our partners, MOFO, and the process of transition was deliberately made in such a way that access to any other parties could only happen towards just close to the election. So all along, no other person had any special access to this particular platform because of the desire to ensure that the system is secure and that it guarantees the integrity of the data that comes out of it. So there's no cause for worrying as far as the password management is concerned. Are the forms being signed by the agents? Yes. The forms are supposed to be signed by the agents to confirm the authenticity of those results. But the law also gives a leeway. In the event that party agents or an agent refuses to sign on Form 34A, the presiding officer shall proceed to process the results and also make a note on that form as to why party agents or an agent of a political party did not sign on that particular form. So we expect that all political parties who are represented in different polling stations were able to sign those forms. Then lastly, Kilgoris, in terms of the differences of the results, what we do not expect that the results from a particular polling station would be more than the results, the registered number of voters in that particular polling station. And the easiest way to do that is once I identify the polling station, I'll still go back to that particular platform, drill down the county, the constituency, and the particular polling stations to actually establish if those results were transmitted. There's no way that those results will actually be transmitted if the number of voters, if the number of, or the total number of votes cast is more than the total number of registered voters. So we'll be able to look into that, but I've not gotten the details of that. And it's also public. You should be able to look at it, analyze, and if there's a difference, we can be able to look at it. Then the last point of Third Way Alliance, why are we displaying this when we are waiting for the forms? Well, if you speak to many Kenyans, for the last 5 years, I think, or since the referendum, we had always projected results that were coming from the polling station in text format. We used to call them provisional results. The Court of Appeal said, or the High Court, making judgment in as far as provisional results are concerned, stated that given the measures that the law anticipates for the Commission to put in place, once votes have been cast at the polling station counted, it's expected that those votes are secure, there's no interference, and parties have agreed on those results. And those results should therefore be final. So what we expected from the presiding officers is for them to ensure that what they're keying in the KIMS kit are final results as they also appear on the Form 34A. So there's expected consistency. And if that is the case, then transmitting and sharing the same information with the public well in advance without human interference in between, I think is good for transparency and integrity of the process. And we're also aware that observers there are also collecting their data. The media has been doing their own analysis. At the end of the day, what we want to ensure is that all of us analyze from the same data and we have the same results. So I don't think that should worry us a lot, but the chair has also said, eventually when we declare the results, we must be certain that what is being reflected in text format is what is actually on the Form 34s. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We see you again in another 3 hours. Thank you.